You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
Kentucky middle school teacher was suspended after approving a student's request to dress in a white hooded attire as the first Grand Wizard for extra credit. The Southern middle school teacher allegedly approved a plan by the eighth grader to represent Nathan Bedford Forrest, a Confederate soldier, in a white hooded first Grand Wizard by dressing up in complete white hooded wardrobe. Video of the student wearing the wardrobe and hood inside of a school bus and in the classroom led to outrage over the weekend, and parents called for the teacher to be fired. The instructor has yet to be identified. Quote, that teacher should be ashamed of herself. And that was stated by a grandmother of one of the middle school students who stated, why would a teacher actually approve something like that? I don't understand. I'm outraged. It's ridiculous. The head of the local NAACP condemned the teacher's decision and called the students to take sensitivity training to avoid further incidences. Quote, my initial response was outrage, but it's happened so many times. I think people get numb to it. They want to apologize later instead of stopping it before the fire gets out of control. The county superintendent, Patrick Richardson, confirmed that the district received reports about the incident on Monday, leading to the teacher's suspension. The district also reported her to the Educational Professional Standards Board. Richardson stated in a statement, quote, I am extremely disappointed and embarrassed by this incident. I am deeply apologetic of the situation and I am taking immediate steps to address this matter. The superintendent added that while the student would not face disciplinary actions because they had gotten the teacher's approval, staff members will sit down with the students to explain why this teacher decision was so wrong. Despite the public outrage over the incident, one of the Southern Middle School students who shared the TikTok video of the outfit on the bus claimed the teacher and student did nothing wrong. Jackson Clark, a fellow eighth grader, stated there was nothing racist about the incident, noting that the teacher took away the costume until it was time for class. Quote, he came in on Friday morning trying to wear it to class. So she took it from him and told him he could wear it during the assignment and she would give it back to him at the end of the day. There was no reason to be offended by it. You can't be mad over a school assignment that teaches history. You have to learn history to make sure you don't redo it. Now, you know what? Technically, technically, to an extent, to an extent, that kid has a point. Let me just go back and read that back again, right? Jackson Clark stated, right? There is no reason to be offended by it. You can't be mad over a school assignment that teaches history. You have to learn history to make sure you don't redo it. Now, within that context, right? Within that context, that kid is 100% right. Because far too many times we've talked about how history realistically does not get taught, right? And I ain't talking about all of the good stuff. I'm talking about the ugly, dirty bits of history that get left out of the books. Because realistically, if society wanted people to be better, you would teach all of the ugly things so that it would disgust people, so that it would make people feel uneasy, so that it would make people feel a certain type of way, so that it would make people look at things differently, their outlook and everything else, right? It would make them challenge a lot of things so that they will become better as persons, as people, as a community, right? That's realistically what history should be doing, but it's not. That's not what history does. History sugarcoats a lot of the atrocities, a lot of the ugly bits and pieces when it deals with the United States, when it deals with, slavery and everything else that took, place during that time. Also, especially when you had the height of the, white hooded individuals out here across America, they had it both for the men, the women, and the children. I got pictures of them clear cut in church, all, wardrobed up, right? Got all those pictures. But the main thing is, you're not going to see those pictures in history books. because they don't want to teach that part of history. They might want to touch on certain aspects, they might want to go in on certain details, but even when they go into certain details, they will swap up and switch certain types of wording to make it seem not as bad as it really is. Again, it's to sugarcoat, it's to lighten, those types of things, right? It's to try to teach the younger demographic out here that the history that people talk about, right, and happen to recollect about is not as bad as what it is seemed, right? Because you got two different versions of history. You got the people that have lived it and that have had the information passed down, and then you have the kids that are learning this history through history books of a lens and a narrative of another group of people who yet again are the champions, who always get to tell their side of the story and how it is that it went down and how it is that they won and their trials and tribulations and all of those, other types of things. But one of my questions would be is what specifically made the other student, out of all of the students there, what specifically made him want to be the one to wear that attire? Because obviously nobody else wanted to sit up there and do it. Nobody else wanted to raise their hand and do it, because more than likely they understand and know the context of what that is, of what it means, because they've seen it somewhere, they've understood it, somebody has told them something, right? Like I said, everything within context. If the context of what is taking place, right, which is a history lesson, right, if we are to, in a sense, teach, then so be it. Yes, everything needs to be shown, right? Or as much of it as possible, right? But if there is clear cut no context and this is in a sense just taking place, yeah, this is 1,000%. 1,000%, ridiculous. Um, the other thing I want to know is what specifically was the assignment? What was the curriculum? What was the ending goal of the assignment that kids were, supposed to learn about? Again, within context, if you're just doing this in a sense to celebrate this person and to do a book report, nah, that's crazy, because there's not going to be any type of learning end result directly from this. You're just telling people about somebody, in a sense, bigging them up by putting on a costume that they wore, at a certain point in time. So again, the context. So going back to the comment from the eighth grader who put it directly up on TikTok, I agree with his point. I agree with the context of how it is that he framed this whole thing. In order for people to learn about history, in order for it not to repeat, not for it to be consistent, not for it to be, still happening, it has to be taught. And it specifically has to be taught in a way that is going to make people uneasy. It's going to make people question a lot of things. It's going to make people look at things vastly different. It's going to cause people to actually think and question. But again, context matters. And directly from the story, other than the kid, I'm not really getting a whole context of the specifics of the end result of the learning lesson, right? Of the more aspect of the report or whatever it is that was supposed to be, directly going on. But anyways, like I said, that's just me. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.